Thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much. My next guest is a man that I respect, man. This is a man that has some vision. He's a dynamic man, under 40, and when you hear him talk, you know that this man is going far. He's the CEO of RanCard. Put your hands together. Let's welcome Kofi Dadzie. There we go. There, and there, man. Please. Welcome to the show, Kofi.
Thank you.
It's so great to have you here.
Good to be here.
You've been on my radar for a long time.
I see,
and
our
finally,
wavelengths have crossed.
finally, you're here. But you were in the States. You did a bit. You were working with Dell, and you decided to quit and come to Ghana. What was in Ghana? What attracted you? I know Ghana is home, but you know, being there, working with Dell, doing great there, by the way. What made you decide?
It's a good question. Ghana was still in me while I was out in the States in Dell. And so I was always going to come back. I'm glad I came back when I did. I'm glad I didn't stay any longer, despite the phenomenal experience that I was gathering at Dell. The exposure to the world's leading computer, IT, technology industry. But for me, Ghana and Africa is really where it always was. That's what was deep inside of me, had been planted in me, and there was this magnetic pull back to the equator. So,
you know, we used to, for a long time, we're talking about brain drain. Now what is happening is that, well, people go there and they gather the knowledge, information, and so it's brain gain when we get them back.
Right, yes.
So we gained you back in a way. And but you came and you started with RanCard, and it's now really a big-time multinational company. Your clients are all multinational. What was the journey like?
It's school of hard knocks. Really, when Ehi and I started, Ehi is my co-founder in RanCard. We went to Achimota School together. He went to Tech when I went to Vanderbilt in the States, and we started designing this in 2001. In 2000, and we launched in 2001. But when we started, we were both almost barely out of school and had little to no management or entrepreneurial experience. We were basically engineers, so we could work with our hands and with the parts of our heads that create things, but not so good at counting and making the money. So it was a struggle. And we eventually were advised to appoint a board of directors. And so we had great people like Dr. Patrick Ewa on our board, and others who guided us to do what we've learned to call value capture from value creation. You can create something which has potential, but you have to learn how to capture the value out of it. And so that's what we learned, a stronger governance system where we had to be accountable for our vision, for where we said we were going. Having a board of directors that would ask us to be accountable to what we've done so far and where we were on the roadmap helped us to develop a discipline to begin to execute and capture value out of what we're building.
What was the vision?
Well, the vision hasn't always been to be the mobile platform of choice of the world's leading brands. And so how do you start that out of Africa, out of little Ghana, and become the mobile platform of choice for the world's leading brands? The first thing for us was to state it and then believe it, and then just go at it. I mean, begin to do everything from what we had in our hands. And that's one of the most important lessons we've learned. Always start with what you have in hand. If you can excel with what you have in hand, people will see it and they'll come and join you and bring their hands to join yours. And then you will begin to scale, because scale is the name of the game. In the technology business, if you can't scale efficiently, which means produce and distribute a lot in large numbers, in the millions. If you think of scale, then you want to think of the number of, say, Samsung devices out there, or number of Apple iPhones out there, or number of Mercedes-Benz cars on the street. That's scale, where you're in China and you're in all of Asia and Europe and North and South America and Africa and the Australias. Your ability to deliver, to produce and distribute at scale is the name of the game. Because if you don't, And those who build skill will edge you out. And so you don't even really have an option in the way, in this globalized village, to not learn how to scale. So one, you need to have a product that the world wants. We say in RanCard that world class means classified by the world, right? So a product that
it's
classified by the world. So if you say what you're doing is world class, then you need to show people across the world who indeed say it's first class, right? So you need to have a product which can be world class, and then you're going to need to have a management system that can distribute it on a global scale. That's what we're still learning to do, by the way. We've barely touched 2.5 continents in our business. We've still got quite a road ahead of us.
Because I'm looking at your client base. It includes Google, Coca-Cola, BBC, VOA, Iroku Partners, MTV, and ESPN. And this is big.
It is, and it's been a significant undertaking serving world-class customers. When these guys like Google come to do business with you, they demand the same level of service as their vendors and suppliers and strategic partners everywhere else in the world. So you have to be world-class. And we're proud to say that with Google, at some point, we connected up to 74 mobile networks in 25 countries and 3 continents, serving Google mobile traffic using technology by RanCard, built by Africans in Africa.
Show some love, man. That is so impressive. We have the capacity here.
We do.
Where do you find them? Because that's like the big thing, you know. Who do you find that can give you that kind of world-class service? That's reliable, that's dependable, that you found?
Yeah. Well, you start with yourself, and then you look for people who are like you, who have similar aspirations and can share in your core values. Our core values in RanCard, and they reflect the core values of my co-founder and I: excellence, integrity, reliability. And we mean these things. They're not just words on the wall. We benchmark and test how we interact internally, how we interact externally. And when we get feedback from our customers that indicate to us that, look, we haven't delivered something that's excellent, the speed with which we turn around and the speed with which we insist that everybody on the team who has a hand in the delivery to that customer turns around to respond and to correct and deliver an excellent experience is what we're made of. And so once you're able to recognize where you have gaps, where you have errors, turn around quickly and repair, then you are being reliable. It means you're meeting the promise you made. It's not that you won't fail sometimes, but it's what you do when you fail, how quickly you pick it up. That's what it's all about. Excellence is more of a lifestyle. I mean, you've just got to be a no-compromise person, right? And so you set true benchmarks, and the benchmarks must be exposed to people who can hold you accountable to them. That's what excellence is all about. And in between is integrity. And you've got to follow through on what you say. And you've got to mean what you say. The tricky thing with integrity and what we experience in business when we say integrity is a core value, it means saying lots of no's and turning away to lots of things that look like attractive opportunities. But you've got to be thinking long term. You've got to realize that integrity, after a while, is a currency. When people can equate integrity with your brand, then they bring business to you when they really need a certain type of outcome, and they are willing to pay for that. It takes a while to build that. You're going to struggle. It means you're going to lose lots of opportunities as you're growing. But if you're thinking long term, integrity is the way to go.
Show him some love, man. This is so. But when did you lock in your first major client? How many years into the business did you?
So we started in 2001. Every year we had a major client from the perspective of where we were coming from. In terms of the big one, the first was probably, in terms of scale, would be Tigo Ghana in 2005. Prior to that, we'd done some subcontracts with large global customers. We'd done a subcontract for a software company in the US for General Electric. We'd done some work that had gone into Ghana Telecom, we'd done some work with KPMG, we'd done some work for Tasaco. So we basically built some skills. By the time we were doing business with Tigo, it was getting big. And within a few months, Tigo Ghana had recommended for us to deploy our software in Tigo Sierra Leone and in Tigo Tanzania based on how well we were doing. And at that point, Ehi and I had to sit back and say, now, if we're going to maintain our reliability, then this company is going to need to change. Because if large customers begin to demand a certain type of service from us, to meet our promises, we're going to need not just a larger team, but a system that can continue to maintain the same level of excellence and integrity as we scale. And again, we had to start looking out, talking with our board to understand, what does it take to scale? Because one thing I can say is that 28% interest bank loans are not the right way to scale.
So basically, what you said that I really want to get, that's when you have to start with what you have.
Yes, you've got to start with what you have in your hand.
What you have in your hand.
That's right.
And then sort of like incremental, when you start with what you have in your hand, then
So
you build on that.
you've got to prove that you can produce excellence, something that's attractive to whatever customer base you can find out there. It's good to get a credible customer, that when people hear that this customer is working with you, they feel, okay, there's some confidence there. So even if you're going to do it for free, you're going to sweat, you've got to crack through that, right? But then you've got to find people who, like you, believe there's something beyond the day-to-day. So it means they're willing to sacrifice, come in and build something. You've got to share the vision. They've got to see it, because if you are a visionary but you can't, as it says in Habakkuk 2:2, make it plain on tablets that he that seeth it may run with it, then you're going to be running alone. You've got to get other people to buy into the vision, take it and run way beyond you. Then you can retire as a young man. Hopefully. Right.
Well, you really done great, because, I mean, clearly, RanCard is, if not the top, one of the, software development companies, and the linkages that you've built, what business advice can you give to people, young ones like you, listening, who want to come in terms of that global aspect of breaking in with world-class service that we're talking about?
I think you've got to reach deep inside of you and discover within yourself what you can really be the best at on a global scale, what you're passionate about, and that can also generate income. And you've got to look at these three as intersecting circles. Jim Collins in Good to Great teaches this as a structure. And the example, if we think of people we know who have obviously and clearly found what they can be the best at, they're passionate about, and can make a lot of money from. You start thinking Cristiano Ronaldo, start thinking the Michael Jacksons and Tiger Woods, of this world. But in the business world, you can think of a Bill Gates, your Larry and Sergey of Google, your Larry Ellisons. In Africa, you can think of Aliko Dangote. You can think of guys like Mo Ibrahim. And when you can enjoy what you do, right? And you are not just skilled at it, you're talented at it. That's another way of putting it. And people so appreciate it that they're willing to pay you a premium of it. That's what you want to spend your life doing. And I would encourage young people, but not just young people, but the older people who mold and influence young people, to keep pursuing your dream, which corresponds with those three circles. What you're highly talented at, what you love, what you're passionate about, and what you can make a lot of money doing. It's the intersection of the three. Then you're living a beautiful life. Because you enjoy what you do, you're really good at it, and people really appreciate and are willing to pay you to do it. I think ultimately that's what life is about.
And was it Oprah that said that if you enjoy doing what you really want to do, it doesn't feel like work.
It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah,
it's not work anymore.
You know.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm working now, you know.
I want to be like you.
Yeah. I want to be like you, man. You, wow. But you come from, you know, a stock of, you know, your parents were disciplined. They are very well known, if I would put it that way. And tell me a little bit about your parents before.
Well, my parents are my primary inspiration. Not just because of what they've done in their careers, but more in terms of some of the things they instilled in us. Growing up, me and my three siblings, one was a love of music, which for us taught us that it's okay to be passionate about something. You know, and music at home growing up was everything. There was high life, there was classical, there was jazz, there was big band, and we just grew up falling in love with music. Music is a spiritual thing. For me, as a Christian, music and worship is so fundamental to where I draw my energy from. So just learning how to invest in music, and my library, my music library is vast and expansive. So having that, learning how to love and enjoy music was one, because that tied to learning how to be passionate about something. The other from my parents was patriotism. I remember each year, while I was out there in the States, in college, living the life, forgetting what 6th March was, every 6th March my father would call me in the morning and say,
really?
do you remember what today is? My father was there at the old polo grounds in 1957. He was about 16 years old when independence was declared. He was there, and it means a lot. So he'd always call me and remind me. My mother was a captain in the army. So patriotism doesn't go much further than that. My father has worked as a doctor in literally every region in Ghana. He's served from Efiankwanta to Tamale Hospital, you know. And so it's that life of service based on loving your country and where you come from. That
Your first name is Dr. Dadzie?
My father is Dr. Yankum Dadzie. So he led the what was the onchocerciasis control program of the World Health Organization. Onchocerciasis is river blindness. So he's actually largely responsible for eradicating it in West Africa. And he did the leadership work, he did the scientific work, he helped develop the right drugs, ivermectin with Merck. So he won an award with Merck, which is a global drug company in Atlanta. In fact, what was beautiful was in one of the business books I was reading, there was reference to how the scientists at Merck have this ethic where even when a drug that may be developed may not be commercially viable, but it will have real impact in people's lives, Merck would support the development of that. And then the example they used was ivermectin, and that was the drug that my father had worked with them on in eradicating onchocerciasis. So I continue to discover his work and the impact of that. My mother also, from her military service through her work in Shraj, from the beginning, from when Shraj started in 1992 as Director of Legal through to the time when she retired as Director of Public Education and Anti-Corruption. She's just been out there. She's been a soldier throughout. She was a soldier at home in terms of the discipline she introduced us to. With my mother, bedtime was bedtime, and you finish what was in your plate. And if you were first, if you came back home with a report card and you were first, my mother would ask you, why weren't you half?
First was not enough.
First was not enough.
It's amazing because it's interesting to find the linkage, you know, the parental stock that you came from had a lot to do with who you are now and all. And you're married? I can see your nice little ring.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to be married with a woman who's not only beautiful on the outside but also on the inside, who has the patience and the intelligence it takes to support the sort of vision that we're working at. And especially with our children, I mean, it's, you know how it is these days when 2- and 3-year-olds bring homework, you know, and what it takes after your long day at work to go home and start a whole new, you know, and I just have to confess and say that she carries much more of that weight than I do, and she's a great partner, a great friend. I love Efua dearly, and not just a single-dimensional love. I mean, all over the place. I mean,
Wow.
she's just a great person to have. Yeah.
Show some love, man. Show some love. Fantastic, fantastic. Well, that's all the time we have, but it's been very, very inspirational. You know, I think you've done great. Well, you and your partner, you know, you've always been on my radar. You know, my wife mentioned long ago that, have you spoken with this guy? He needs to be on your show, you know.
Excellent.
So I'm glad that now we've had the chance to talk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I think that you're presenting Ghana very, very well, and you're putting us on the world stage.
We hope to do so.
And doing world class, and there's more to come.
Absolutely, much more.
All right.
Excellent.
Kofi, thank you so much.
You, KSM.
Share some love one more time. And do stick around, there's more to come. We'll be right back.